Is it awkward yet?
I'm just waiting for the lead.
Waiting,
sweetheart. Waiting
for you.
Waiting for you.
Say go. You're such a baby.
I'm going to get out of this car and drop you like I dropped third period French, okay?
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of FFB from the 50. Tonight, instead of doing a fantasy fireside chat, we're going to do a fantasy barside chat. I am joined tonight by my friends Adam and Teresa. You have heard me talk about them numerous times on this channel. Well, here they are. I've driven all the way down to the Cincinnati, Ohio area to visit with them. And before we do, every time we get together, Adam, there's something you and I do. We can't do anything fantasy football related without cheers. So cheers.
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 Wimp. All right. It's great. Now, because we want to make sure we're staying family friendly here on YouTube, I want you to go down to the comment section and let me know what you think was in these two glasses. All right. So first thing I want to talk about tonight is actually YouTube. Okay. So if you could, every time I have a new guest on the show, I want you to introduce yourselves, let the crowd know a little bit about you, when you started playing fantasy football, what some of your accolades are. So Teresa, ladies first.
Jeez. Well, I'm Teresa. I've been playing since 2011 and won 2 championships and have placed in multiple leagues in multiple years.
Now that's just 2 championships in leagues that weren't together. You've won more than that. So, all right, Adam.
Name's Adam. I've been playing fantasy football since 2011 as well. Won 1 championship, but between in leagues that the 3 of us have been playing in. Have also won this one from a different league, very special. So yeah.
Fantastic. And you guys know I'm Dan. So I've been playing since 2008. Been playing with these 2 since 2011. In the leagues that we've gone heads up, I went out and counted. I won 5 championships, so more than these 2 combined. Just saying.
Who's counting?
Who's counting? But I do want to say we do have Adam with us, who is our special celebrity. We might not ever get anybody this popular on this show again. Adam, your tweets have been read nationwide.
They have been.
You've been on Sirius XM Radio.
I have.
Yeah, so we've talked about him. We've given him shout outs. So this is the Adam that I'm always talking about on the channel. And this is the Teresa I'm always talking about. So, yeah. What we want to do tonight, real quick before we go into the regular Barside chat, is something huge happened in fantasy football this week. Christian McCaffrey got traded from the Carolina Panthers over to the San Francisco 49ers. So I'm going to do a series of breakdowns. Now, I don't know if you remember Jordan. He was on one of my fireside chats. I did reach out to him to get his 2 cents on the matter. I want to get Adam and Teresa's 2 cents on the matter, and I'm going to offer my own. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to ask them a series of questions. It's going to be kind of rapid fire here. First take, knee-jerk reactions. Obviously, we don't know what the actual fallout's going to be. He hasn't played a single snap with the San Francisco 49ers yet. We don't know what the Carolina Panthers are going to look like without him. We know what they look like with him. They weren't going anywhere. It was actually a really smart move, in my opinion, on the Carolina Panthers' part. I know that they've been taking a lot of grief for tanking the season, but the problem is you can't really tank a season that you're already sucking it up so bad. So, no, they're not tanking the season because they already weren't going anywhere. So they got to do what they have to do in order to improve themselves, and this is one of the best ways to do it. So I'm going to go back and forth. I'm just going to ask you a question. I'm going to let these 2 answer. So I'm not going to pick on one or the other. I don't like picking on people. Yes, I do. But I'm not going to this time. So the first person I want to talk about is Christian McCaffrey himself. So either one of you, feel free to chime in. Do you think that this is something positive or something negative for his fantasy football stock? Not talking about real life. I'm just talking about his fantasy football stock this year.
This year? What do you think?
Positive.
Positive? Okay.
San Francisco has a much better offensive line, so hopefully that will help him not get injured.
That would be great. It would be nice actually. He's so talented, but that doesn't do you any good if you're not on the field.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'd have to say positive as well, but that being said, I mean, given his situation that he came from, it's very hard to go from a worse fantasy situation than where he was at in Carolina to where he is in San Francisco now. So his fantasy stock really has no place else to go but up.
This is true. So when I was talking to Jordan on the phone earlier, he said he thought his stock went up slightly. I guess I'm going to be the bold one. I'm going to say his fantasy stock absolutely skyrocketed, in my opinion, for a couple different reasons. So number one, Teresa already mentioned it. The offensive line is a definite improvement over what he had in Carolina. To me, that's undoubtedly true. But I look at a couple other factors. Number two, they've got Elijah Mitchell, who will be returning at some point. They still have Jeff Wilson. They've got a couple other running backs that they can plug in. So as far as the wear and tear goes, I'm not really sure that Christian McCaffrey is going to have to carry the ball 20 times per game and catch another 6 to 7 passes per game.
Right.
So the days of him getting 20 to 26 touches per game is probably over. Well, some people would argue that's actually bad because his volume is going down, but I think there are some players, he's one of them, where sometimes less might actually be a little bit more. Keep those legs fresh, keep him from taking that pounding. I think that's going to help. The other thing is, too, is I've been very critical of Baker Mayfield on this channel, and I'm going to continue to be. So with Carolina, he was running into stacked boxes all the time. Nobody respected that pass game at all, and rightfully so. Jimmy Garoppolo is a major upgrade in my opinion. People say, oh, he's a game manager. But he still has weapons, and he can still threaten. The safeties have to take Brandon Ayuk into consideration. They have to take Deebo Samuel into consideration. George Kittle. So he's not going to be running into these 8-man stacked boxes like he was before. So yeah, he might get fewer carries, but he's going to stay healthier for one thing. And the second thing is those opportunities will probably be a higher quality opportunity. When I had Jordan on the channel, we talked about how not all opportunities are created equal. This is one of those situations that, to me, I think his stock has gone way up. Not to mention the most important point of all. He's going to an offense led by who? Kyle Shanahan? One of the most creative play callers and play designers in the NFL right now. You can't tell me that he's not drooling, thinking about what he could do with a guy like Christian McCaffrey in his backfield.
I would agree with you. I definitely would agree with you there. Now, the big question is, whose stock do you think this hurts?
Okay. Well, let's just start. I'm just going to say pretty much everybody on Carolina probably isn't going to be overly affected by this. Deontay Foreman's stock probably will go up a little bit just because he's going to get some volume. As far as anybody in Carolina stock hurting, no, because it wasn't there to begin with. Right? So let's go to the 49ers. I think there's two players whose stock it hurts. Okay. The first one for me is going to be Deebo. I think Deebo Samuel's stock is going to be hurt because with Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, let's look why they put Deebo in the backfield to begin with. They put him in the backfield to try to scheme him open, to try to open up the offense, give defenses a different look. Deebo's not going to have to be that wide receiver out of the backfield. They got Christian McCaffrey. So I don't think we're going to see Deebo in the backfield as much as we did before. I think of all the pass catchers, they're going to see a target, a volume slowdown because Christian McCaffrey is going to suck in some of those targets. Garoppolo's only going to pass the ball, 25 to 30 times per game?
Most likely.
So Jeff Wilson wasn't really much of a target threat out of the backfield. He was catching a couple passes a game, nothing major. Elijah Mitchell, same thing. He was more of that bruiser between the tackles. So now those pass catchers, some of that volume is going to go to Christian McCaffrey. So I think that's going to hurt. But at the same time, with what I just said about Christian McCaffrey, being able to maybe find some running lanes, now those safeties do have to be cognizant of him coming out of the backfield. So maybe there won't be as many double teams. Maybe we'll see things open up through the seams. Same argument I had for George Kittle. I mean, he just hasn't looked like himself this year. Production's been down. He's probably going to lose some targets. Those quick checkdowns probably won't go to Kittle. They'll probably go to Christian McCaffrey. So I'd say out of everybody, those are the two that it hurts. I don't really see it affecting Brandon Ayuk stock much because that's not the role he was providing for the 49ers anyway.
Okay, so you're saying it hurts Deebo Samuel and it hurts George Kittle.
To some degree. I'm not saying that it's going to cripple them in any way, shape, or form. I'm just talking about the fact that there's only so many targets on that team to begin with. And now Christian McCaffrey is going to take a bite into that pie.
Okay. I'll agree with you with Deebo Samuel, but kind of from a different perspective, though.
Okay, I love to hear it.
For the you were saying because of those targets out of the backfield. I think it's going to hurt more from the fact that you're not going to really see him doing any rushing, getting any rushing attempts. Because last year he had passing yards and he had rushing yards.
Well, that was a matter of contention that he had with his contract.
Correct, but he was still having, and I can look it up right now, he has, currently right now in the year, Deebo Samuel has 136 rushing yards. Jeff Wilson Jr. is leading it. with 400 yards.
Mhm.
I think you'll see Deebo Samuel's rushing yards per game go down a little bit. His receiving yards, I think, will probably stay relatively the same. But I am going to have to somewhat disagree with you with George Kittle.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because his stock is already down. It's kind of hard for him to go down even further. I think the person that this hurts the most is Jeff Wilson Jr. Because he's no longer the main guy in the backfield now. It's going to be Christian McCaffrey.
Right, and I've already dropped Jeff Wilson. I dropped him last night, but I don't know. For me, I look. Jeff Wilson was just a plug and play while Elijah Mitchell was out anyway, and you can't say that he's hurting Elijah Mitchell's stock because Elijah Mitchell's not even playing.
Right.
So I hear what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but that's the low hanging fruit. I do understand what you're saying. Jeff Wilson's going to go back to that same complimentary role that he had when Elijah Mitchell was the true number one.
Right. Now, it's also possible, too, I could see this somewhat also hurting Christian McCaffrey in kind of a weird way, too, because what if you say Kyle Shanahan is very creative? What if he decides to make a two-headed monster out of that backfield? Probably not going to happen, but what if?
Yeah.
It could be. What if that backfield turns into a 50-50 split? Right down the middle.
Could be. I don't know. I keep thinking when I think about the San Francisco 49ers that they're a run-heavy team, and he's clearly going to be a bell cow. You don't bring in Christian McCaffrey. Giving up the draft stock that they gave up.
True.
It's not like they went out and they picked up, and I'm not trying to pick on David Montgomery. I'm not. But, there's rumors around the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to trade Montgomery because his contract's coming up. They got Khalil Herbert waiting in the wings. It's not like they went out and got David Montgomery. They went out and got Christian McCaffrey. You don't go out and get Christian McCaffrey and give up that draft stock unless you think that he's going to be a major part of your offense. Yeah. Otherwise, why give up what you gave up? They gave up half their draft.
That's true. That is true. And what I'm saying could just be words coming out of my mouth, but there's always that. With Kyle Shanahan offense, you never know.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. So Shanahan will put him back there. We'll use him as a decoy from time to time. We've seen it in the past. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see what happens. There is two thoughts, and I want to get Teresa, I do want to pick on you a little bit, get your take on this. So, so year after year, we like to tease Jordan because he keeps drafting these running backs from San Francisco because they have the run-heavy scheme. Mm-hmm. Year after year, they see their running backs go down injured. We already saw it with Elijah Mitchell against the Bears. I'm sorry, no, that was week 1, wasn't it? Was that week 1 or was that versus the Bears? Yeah. That was the Bears.
That was the monsoon.
That was the monsoon game.
That was the monsoon bowl.
Hey, everybody, by the way, Bears!
Go Colts.
Bears! I like the Colts too. For me, it's 1A, 1B. Living in Northwest Indiana, I'm like literally halfway between Chicago and Indy. It's perfect. So anyway, Teresa, back to the question. We already know that San Francisco has issues with their running back health. They go on to pick up Christian McCaffrey, who's not really played much the last 2 years. Did that strike you as a surprise at all?
There's been rumors of trades, so thinking about Kyle Shanahan and what he wants, and I'm just thinking San Francisco wants to win right now.
Yeah, because they just basically gave up all of that. Do they even have a first-round pick next year? Mm-hmm. They do have a first-round pick? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think you're right. Adam, where did Christian McCaffrey play his college football?
Stanford.
How close is Stanford to Levi Stadium?
Honestly, I'm not 100%
sure.
I don't know California geography all that well.
It is right there by it. They're so close. This is like a homecoming for Christian McCaffrey. So I'm very excited for him and his fans. So, all right, any final thoughts on the Christian McCaffrey trade?
Well, let me ask you this. Currently, right now, I'm looking at the standings. Before Thursday night's game last night where Arizona played the Saints, every single team in the NFC West was 3-3.
Okay.
Now, currently right now, it shows San Francisco leading the division with the Yahoo website that I'm looking at right now. Mm-hmm. Do you think, given the struggle bus that the Rams are having right now, and we can get into that a little bit later, and Seattle kind of being a little bit of a surprise team, believe it or not. But do you think the addition of Christian McCaffrey definitely propels them to a Super Bowl contender in the NFC?
Okay, so you're asking me, are they a Super Bowl contender in the NFC?
Well, do you think San Francisco, I guess my question should be is, A, do you think they can win the NFC West?
Okay.
B, do you think with them adding Christian McCaffrey and looking at how much, unfortunately, a dumpster fire outside of Philadelphia, sorry babe, Dallas, and maybe Minnesota, do you think the addition of Christian McCaffrey can allow them to be the represent the NFC in the Super Bowl now?
Right now.
Yes.
Yes.
I thought that even before the trade.
Really?
I did, and here's why. Tell me how the season ended last year for the San Francisco 49ers.
It was a heartbreak at SoFi.
In what game?
The NFC Championship game.
There you go. And that was without Christian McCaffrey. I mean, you look at the changes, really aren't many. There really are not many. Jimmy Garoppolo is back under center.
Mm-hmm.
They still have Ayuk. They still have Debo.
Mm-hmm.
They still have Kittle.
Mm-hmm.
The offensive line was about the same last year. Now, the defense has not played very well the last couple of weeks, but we already talked about all the injuries they've got. They're coming back. To me, they were actually already the favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sold on the Rams. I think the skid is real for them.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle, I think, is playing above their rank. Arizona, they played well last night, but when you take out those 2 pick sixes, they would have lost that game.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona's a mess. You're the one that pointed out to me that there was a bit of a tiff between Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray, so that team's a mess. So to me, they were already the favorites in the NFC West. We saw them advance all the way to the NFC Championship game last year. The Packers are worse than what they were. I don't trust the Giants. I'm not a true believer in Dallas just yet. I think the Eagles are for real, but Jalen Hurts is always a question. I'm not sold on the Minnesota Vikings. Tampa's had their struggles. I mean, Atlanta at one point was tied for first in that division. Might still be. I think they're still tied.
No, Tampa's leading the division
They're-
right now.
okay.
They're 3-3.
Okay, what's Atlanta's record?
They're 3-3 too.
Ah!
But they're showing
Right, but they're tied for first in that division.
correct.
So
Yes.
if they played in the AFC, I'd say I still think that they would make the playoffs. You know, maybe they would win whatever division that they would be in. They'd probably be in the West, so maybe not, but they'd probably be a wild card team.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they're coming out of the NFC, yeah, I think they're going to win the West. And yeah, I think they're going to advance pretty far. Do they have a shot of representing the NFC in the Super Bowl? You bet. There's like maybe 2 or 3 teams in the NFC, I would say that they're one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, there's no surefire team.
Correct.
You know, in the AFC, I can name off, I think, 3 teams that I think are better than them. So,
I agree.
But we don't need to. They're not coming out of the AFC. So.
Exactly.
Any other thoughts?
On the McCaffrey trade, from me, no.
Okay. None? All right, folks, that's it for this one. Stay tuned for part 2. I'm going to put these 2 to the test, and then we're going to share some good fantasy football stories. We're going to go through some players, some stats, and we have our season's about halfway over. We're going to come out with our skank squads, our first half of the season skank squads. Those folks that have disappointed us the most, who we are already giving up on. So, hey, skank squad for them. All right, folks, that's it for this one. Stay tuned for part 2. See ya.